informed. They even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Thank you, Joe. It's 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Tuesday morning. And right now here at the Paddock Mall, it is 84 degrees. 84 degrees and beautiful. And you see the clouds moving in. It's just very predictable. You don't need to be a psychic. You can impress your friends. Impress your friends. You can say, I am a meteorologist. I am a psychic, and I can predict it will rain today.
Exactly.
Even though it doesn't look like it might. Although now it's starting to look like it might. All right. I have something I want to share with you. It's the Bionic Pancreas. And so where do I start with this? Let me start with the inventor. A biomedical engineer at Boston University by the name of Ed Damiano, Damiano. Is the senior author of a new paper that explains what this bionic pancreas is. He's also the father of a son with type 1 diabetes. His son, I don't have his name here, but his son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when the son was 11 months old.
Isn't that something?
11 months old. And the father... I guess he thought to himself, I have a way, I have the education, I have the understanding of engineering, etc. I can build something. Well, the son is now 14 years old, if I understand this right. And he has, the father, Ed Damiano, has invented what they're calling a bionic pancreas. Now, before you say, well, isn't that just another insulin pump, which a lot of people who have type 1 diabetes and maybe type 2, I'm not a doctor, I'm not pretending to be. Well, I do have a doctor who's I've got on tape, so I don't have anybody here or on the phone that you can ask questions of. So just I'm going to do my best to give you the resources I've used to put this segment together, because if it's important to you, you'll probably want to share it with your doctor. But the bionic pancreas is better than the insulin pump. This is what they're saying. Let me just scroll down to the part where it says about the tests. He teamed up with another doctor, and I have some sound bites from the other doctor. The other doctor is Dr. Stephen John Russell. Dr. Russell is a diabetes specialist at Mass General Hospital in Boston. I don't know if I'm supposed to read that as Massachusetts or not, but Mass is what it says. Mm-hmm. Mass General Hospital in Boston. And the two of them are not the first, it says here, to try to figure out what to do about diabetes to make a bionic pancreas. Mm-hmm. Patients, let me see. There was a study here for the study. 20 adults wore the device for 5 days as they went about their daily lives in the company of a study nurse. More than 30 adolescents wore the device combination for 5 days at a camp for young people with type 1 diabetes. God. The bionic pancreas resulted in a drop of more than a third in interventions for low blood glucose and more than half in the amount of time the adults spent with hypoglycemia. In adolescents using the bionic pancreas, interventions for low glucose were cut in half.
Gosh. Okay.
I don't want to even pretend to understand some of what I'm telling you. This is what I understand. I understand that this technology that has been developed to perhaps free diabetes patients from the daily ritual or the ongoing ritual of insulin shots, mm-hmm. even with an insulin pump. So let me let you hear some of these sound bites that I downloaded. Dr. Stephen John Russell is on my list of people to invite, so we can pick his brain a little bit. But right now, in his absence, I wanted to share this with you. This was published yesterday. And I'm trying to see in the Wall Street Journal. There it is. Okay. And so here's a soundbite from Dr. Stephen J. Russell. This is basically the doctor giving an overview of this invention.
What we have been testing is a system that automatically regulates blood glucose. It requires a lot less effort from the user than the current way of managing diabetes, and it achieves much better blood glucose control and is safer. It's associated with less low blood sugars. And I think something like this is long coming and something that people with diabetes would eagerly look to have. But we've done some important stages in the testing. We've tested it in a real world situation in both kids and adults, but we've got some more testing to do before it's ready for release. We think it'll be about 2.5 to 3 more years before it could be ready for people with type 1 diabetes.
All right, and that was an interview from yesterday, so that's not old. That was just one day old. And I wanted to read this to you. The Bionic Pancreas is controlled by a smartphone.
Wow.
And it allows 24 people with type 1 diabetes to maintain near normal blood sugar control in tough test supervised in a tough test supervised by researchers. Ed Damiano, the guy who is the partner of Dr. Russell, the man being credited with inventing this, says, I was astonished at how well it worked in the real world setting.
Gosh.
The system is the brainchild of a collective group from Boston University and Massachusetts General Hospital. The test of the bionic pancreas, which the researchers hope to have on the market by 2017, involved using a smartphone, 2 pumps attached to the abdomen, a glucose monitor, and a computer program to calculate doses.
Oh my gosh.
So there's, I think it said every 5 minutes, it diagnoses the blood sugar level in the patient, and then does what it needs to do to make sure it's leveled out. It does what your pancreas does, in other words.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Ed Damiano, again, is the senior author of the paper that explains it all. The system was tested there. It's kind of repeating itself. In the Bloomberg report, it said the system was tested in 20 adults and 32 adolescents whom Bloomberg said can be challenging to manage because they often need double the amount of insulin as their hormones change in as they go. Oh, the adolescents, in other words. A 76-year-old man named Stanley Baker got to test the bionic pancreas. And here's a quote from Stanley Baker. He said, I tell you, as a diabetic, you are always thinking about your blood sugar. This totally relieves you of managing the diabetes. A lot of the concern I have on a regular basis was gone. It was extremely liberating.
Gosh.
All right, now I want to take that subject and just not really put it on hold, but go to a different part of this subject, because in the past, when we've talked about some medical breakthroughs, whether it was for your eyes or for any part of you, what came up as an issue was, okay, so the rich will be able to afford this.
Yeah.
What about the people who are not rich? What about the people who can't afford it? Will they be able? It's like when you have any kind of like, it doesn't have to be cosmetic surgery, but LASIK eye surgery is an example of one of those things that I remember when it was first introduced. And now I know they've come, gigantic. They've come a long way, right? But anyway, he addresses the insurance issue, how to pay for this. And he's not an insurance expert, but I wanted to play you the soundbite from Dr. Russell. Again, this is one of the partners with Dr. Damiano. I don't know if Edward Damiano is a doctor. I think he's an engineer.
You said he was a biomedical engineer.
Biomedical engineer, yeah. So we don't call him doctor, I guess. But anyway, so Dr. Russell answered the insurance question with this.
Insurance companies will need to cover it, and I think they will, because the real cost for diabetes is all the complications, and this system can provide the kind of blood glucose control that will prevent those complications.
All right. It sounds like, he's not really speaking on behalf of the insurance industry, but it sounds like it would be in the best interests of the insurance companies that are already paying for something that is more expensive to pay
Yeah.
to pay for this. He doesn't say how much this would cost. Dr. Stephen Russell, one of the physicians involved in the development of the Bionic Pancreas, says the groundbreaking medical device could be available for patients with type 1 diabetes in less than 3 years, as we already covered. He made his announcement at the Massachusetts General Hospital on June 15th, and he's making the rounds, going to the different news agencies. We have not been able to schedule him yet, but I wanted to share this news with you if you didn't already hear it. And the best way I could do that was to print up the material and then play some sound bites from his interview on NBC. All right, here's just the last part right here. I think this is just where he talks about the inventor himself.
My partner did it for his son, Ed Damiano, and his colleague Faraz Al-Khatib have built the system that we've tested, and Ed's son was diagnosed when he was 11 months old, and that really changed the direction of Ed's career. Started working on this project almost exclusively.
All right, and the one of the I don't know if you find this humorous or not, but the test people, and you kind of commented on it earlier this morning, Robin, when we were talking about this briefly. The test subjects, the patients who used it and had success across the board with this, they all had success with this. Didn't want to give it back.
No.
Now, if you Google this or YouTube search it or whatever, you will find some videos talking about this. Make sure you find the ones that are either if it's Massachusetts General Hospital, you probably have a good person. But the two people you want to look for, Ed Damiano and the doctor that I was just playing some sound bites from, Dr. Stephen John Russell. Those are the two, because there are some others online talking about this, and I think they're kind of like me. Either that or they're not even talking about the same thing. You just got to be careful who you're listening to.
Yeah, but they're the inventors of it. They're the testers.
They're the ones who tested it.
Everything,
They're the ones who had the information. They're the ones that the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and NBC News are going to for information, which is probably why it's not easy for us right now to get them or get one of them on. But we'll keep trying our best, because if you have questions, the truth is, if you have questions about it, go to your doctor. That's always the best advice, right? But maybe your doctor doesn't know about this. And what it looked like to me is it somehow interfaces maybe wirelessly with your smartphone. It has to be wireless. You can't have a wire.
No.
So forget maybe. So it must interface with your
Have an app on
smartphone.
it, maybe.
Have some kind of an application, right? And the device itself, I don't know how it goes. I don't know if they insert it into your body or kind of fasten it to your body.
Yeah, because the insulin pump, I know we've seen videos and things on this, and for this bionic pancreas to replace the insulin pump, that'll be really, at huge strides, because people that have diabetes, they have seen so many strides in this area that it's really wonderful. They can live a better life with this new invention.
Diabetes, I'm reading this now, despite affecting nearly 350 million people worldwide, is not really a controlled illness. Those who have the type 1 form of the illness, in which the pancreas fails to produce the insulin that processes glucose in the bloodstream, often face serious eye, kidney, and cardiovascular problems. Perhaps the worst outcome is one rarely mentioned in public about the disease. It is the possibility of dying in the middle of the night due to a miscalculated dose of insulin that can't be caught when the patient is asleep.
Oh, gosh.
This device does control your insulin while you are asleep. It does
That
it.
is
It does it
amazing.
automatically. It does it every 5 minutes. Controlling glucose with injected insulin is like controlling household temperature by turning on the heat when it gets cold and turning it off again when it gets hot.
Wow.
That's why this device is more like a pancreas than like a insulin pump. Okay. I don't really have any more to share with you about that, and I don't want to just talk for the sake of talking. The thing I would do is encourage you to Google bionic pancreas. And the word bionic, by the way, I guess, I thought they were calling it that just based on the $16 million man, whatever it was called.
Right.
But the word bionic, I guess it did in the show as well as it does here, actually has a true meaning. I guess it's a biological technology, biological technology. That's why it's bionic. Don't ask me. I'm not really sure. But
Well, parents will do anything to make the world a better place for their children.
Yeah.
And kudos to Ed Damiano.
So let me see if I can give you a website real quickly. But I would say Google it real quickly. If you go to artificialpancreas.org, it's like an essay on. It's an essay from the school. Using mathematics to treat diabetes is the title of the blog that you'll come upon. And it just basically starts with this, so you know you're on the right page. We are a collaborative group from Boston University and Massachusetts General Hospital working together to make automated blood glucose control a reality.
There you go.
And then in the first paragraph, I believe, no, it doesn't mention their names.
They're usually humble
Is that
guys.
my phone doing that?
Yeah, that's yours.
Jeez. I thought that was your phone doing that.
No, it's in my office. It's in
All right.
my purse.
Well, anyway, I hopefully the news that we just shared is something that will benefit somebody out there. And again, we're not doctors, but we do have some calls into the two men to see if we could perhaps get one of them on to talk about this.
Yeah.
If not, just call your doctor, and we don't claim anything other than we want to make sure that you get news when it sounds like something you can use.
Yep.
All right, we'll take a little break. What should we do? And we'll come back.
Jerry.
Deal?
Deal.
It's time for Farmer Ranch Headlines of the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman reporting. About 300 people from the peanut industry were meeting this past week at the Nashville, Tennessee Convention Center. Dr. Scott Tubbs of the University of Georgia reported that the peanut crop in the U.S. is off to a good start after some earlier weather delays. He said thrips pressure this year was higher than normal, and damage was reported in some locations. Weeds and disease control right now is the top priority for peanut farmers. Weather's also helping the crop with more scattered showers and even rains reported in the southwest, which was very dry, and some hail damage in some locations. The weather analysts are predicting a stronger El Nino this fall, which usually means that we'll have wet conditions at harvest. Tubbs said he'd received a lot of calls about Valor injury, and some states